What is correct, and everyone? It is Shortlessly coming back at you with some Persona 5X today, and again, I've said that finals are coming up, so they're next week, and I have to, unfortunately, I kind of have to put some time into that, so it takes away from here a little bit, but that's okay. We'll be back to normal soon enough, but before we hop into all this, I would like to please invite you guys to all go down into the comments and like and comment and subscribe and all that business. But without further ado, let us get into it. Okay, so essentially what we're doing today, I'm using lufel.net because this is kind of our database for P5X, but essentially what we're doing is I'm going to tell you guys my plans and then maybe some other options that you guys might want to consider because of how good or how not good they are. Again, I will preface this. P5X is not such a difficult game to the point where you really need to focus on the meta. You can kind of just rock whoever you want and they'll just work out for you. It only matters if you're going to like climb the ladder for like Sea of Souls, maybe like the guild stuff, but if you're not, if you just get if you're like me, you get the maximum amount of rewards that you can get reasonably and you just get out. So basically just the meta jewels. If you can do that, and that's what you care about, then you'll be okay. You can kind of just play with whatever you want. I'm kind of doing a mix of meta and what I actually care to get. But let's actually get into it. So, Haru is our next character. Right here. So she is a Psi AoE attacker, and funnily enough, this wasn't planned, but we got Summer Summer Tomoko. I don't know why I got them mixed up. We got Seaside Tomoko right here. We actually pulled her, we got her weapon, if you guys remember, and she is by far probably the best teammate for Haru here. So in the vein with that, I figured let's go for her. We might as well. I believe that she is... I believe we're at 85 pity out of 110, so we'll be fine to get her. It's just whether or not we get her weapon. Also, with Haru, if you do want to go for her, get her and get her weapon. Getting her awarenesses aren't as important. You should get her weapon first. So that's our next target. As much as I like Mont, I don't really think we're going to be going for her. I mean, if I scroll up just a little bit, you guys will see this is a lot of goodness coming out. And Mont isn't... She's a good character, right? She's good. But she has some spots where it's kind of like, is this really worthy of a pull? If you're talking about specifically meta, of course. If you like Mont, just freaking get Mont, you know? If we're talking about being as smart as you can with your pulls, isn't necessarily worth pulling for unless you really like the character that much. So do keep that in mind. But she's not a bad character, but she's also just not exactly meta. She does fall off a little bit. So just know that. For Howler, she is a new debuffer that's going to be coming out. My recommendation is to skip her and wait for her to come on the standard banner. However, she is able to both single target and multi-target debuff, so it's kind of the same case as Marion, wherever she is. Let's find her. Right here. Same case as Marion, where like the character is honestly good enough to the point where it's merited to go for them if you want them. Waiting for them to go into the standard pool isn't exactly a small amount of time. It's going to be, if I remember correctly, it'll be 6 months before each of them gets added. So if you want to go for Howler when she comes out, by all means go for her. She's going to do you really well. But do keep in mind that she is going to be a standard character in the future. Alright, so you guys want to talk about Sumi Violet, right? Let's say it this way. She's one of the characters that I want to max out on awarenesses because I like her so much. It's also the case where she's honestly... Let me go check Assassins, actually. Yeah, she's one of the best single target assassins in this game. And another thing about this game is that you kind of want to have element advantage if you can, and the only other holy attacker that we have in the game is Summer Motoha. So, and they're both different roles. Sumi / Violet is single target and Motoha is AoE, so it's kind of just the case where if you don't have a holy DPS, you can either wait for one to come out that you like, or you can pull for Violet. She's really, really good, but I think ours is going to be a good bit stronger than everyone else's eventually, because, like I said, I do plan to A6 her, which is completely doable. But that's one of the planned ones that I'm going to go pretty hard for. I'm going to, honestly, after we go for Haru, I'm considering skipping Howler. I might. It depends on how many pulls we have by Howler's time. If we have a good chunk, I might try for her a little bit, but Sumi is going to be the one that we go for very hard here. Wind Vast, if I remember correctly, is a really good buffer. There's not really a reason to skip her, she's just really, really good. So, I don't know if she goes into the vein of must pull, but she is at the same point where it's just really, really good to have her. So there's no reason not to pull for her. I'm not super familiar with her kit because, I mean, I haven't looked too in depth because, I mean, let's be honest, this is already next year, 2026, by the time we get to her. So, not a necessary reason for me to look at this kit unless you guys do want me to start an alt on, I believe it's Taiwan or China. I can start either of the servers. Just let me know in the comments if you do want that. I can start covering the feature characters as well as the ones that are coming out to the English version, but do know that Wind Vast is really, really freaking good. Okay, so now we go to Chinese New Year Rin. So this is kind of the thing where straight up, Lion Dance Rin is just better than On. Wherever On is, right here. He's straight up better than On. However, if you have a good amount of awareness copies with her, On becomes better. But this is also the case where there's a good chance that you have a good amount of copies on her. On at least, since she's a standard character. So if you happen to either somehow you don't have an On yet, or you just like Rin that much, there's no reason not to pull for her. She's pretty freaking good. It's just whether or not you happen to have an On that's invested fairly high enough. Matoi is next. I'm not gonna lie, I low-key can't remember if she's standard or not. It doesn't really say in this site if it is. Don't think it is though. I'm pretty sure she's a limited character. Anywho, Matoi is pretty freaking good. It's okay. Why is it doing that? That's weird. I gotta freaking reapply show spoilers. Strange. Okay. So Matoi is pretty freaking good. She's also a debuffer. I actually, straight up, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I don't know her kit. I don't know her kit that well. But I do know that she's a good pull, and I believe she's limited, so it's kind of the thing where if you want to debuff her, it's probably better to go for Matoi. I mean, I want to say these two technically have different roles slightly, since it's not, they don't want the same character to come out twice, so they have something different, but Matoi is certainly a good pull. I would probably recommend it. That said, if you had to pick between Matoi and Wind Vast, I'm going to tell you guys to go for Wind Vast. So now here comes another problem for us. Akechi's one of my favorite Persona 5 characters. And here comes the other problem. He's a sub DPS. Sub DPS characters in P5X up to this point, at least in the current version, over like for the Taiwanese and Chinese versions, the ones that are ahead of us on global. Sub DPS characters just kind of aren't that good. Now, I haven't seen much gameplay on Mitsuru, but I do know that generally speaking, at least in Akechi's case, sub DPS characters are not really that good. They're gonna need to give him a lot to make him worth summoning for anything that's less than A6, to be honest. Like you need a lot of power and buffs. Like his multipliers need to go way up. He's just not really good enough, and that pains me because I really like Akechi. Now, Should I go for him? No. Am I going to anyway, and we're going to go and try to A6 him eventually as the banners come back and back and back, but yeah, we're going to try to A6 him at some point. But if you're talking about character power, as it stands right now, again, Global does do buffs before the characters come out a lot, which I do appreciate, because it just makes these characters better. I don't know if they fix Akechi. This is another thing I'm a little concerned about in this manner. Mesa, who came out recently, he's pretty good, right? But he's not better than a very invested Ryuji. And the buffs that they gave him are they're good. Don't get me wrong, they're pretty good. I'm happy that they gave him those to begin with. But it's the thing where if they didn't even buff Mesa high enough, what are they gonna do for Akechi? I know Akechi's a higher fan favorite, but it's just, he just has some problems that I don't know if they're going to fix without, I don't know if it's a full kit rework he needs, but he needs a lot. So I'm a little worried about that. Regardless, we're gonna go for him, and we're going to see what we can do. Hopefully we can get a lot of copies. Turbo is also really good. Here's another buffer. I mean, if this isn't just all gacha games, right? If the character's a buffer, you should probably consider pulling for them because they're just going to be helpful in a number of situations. I don't know Turbo's kit too well either, but I do know that she's used for a lot of high-end teams, at least on the other versions that are ahead of us. Oh, it's not actually showing us the teams that she's on. Strange. You guys can read this right here if you're interested. Go ahead and pause. I won't be going in depth on this because she's not coming out for a while. But she is a very interesting character. I do think she's going to be worth pulling her. It's just whether or not you have the pulls for her. Not required though. I suppose we could take a bit of a backtrack and talk about Cherish for a little bit. This is supposed to be with the future in mind, but Cherish's banner is still out. And at this point, Futaba's banner is still out too. If my other videos didn't get it through to you, you should try and get Futaba before she leaves. She's going to be very, 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 very strong for a long time to come. I still don't think she's lost her throne on the other versions as well. And even if she does, right, this game requires 2 teams. She just goes on the B team. Pretty simple. Anyway, back to Cherish. Cherish is actually really interesting. The problem with him, right? I like him, he's kind of cool. And like character-wise, I think he's cool. And then I think his kit is interesting. However, you see the fact that he's a defensive character right here, right? I'll probably zoom in post-editing or whatever, but he's got the defense icon right there. And you know who else is ice and wants to play defense? Is Fox, aka Yusuke. If you have Yusuke, I would recommend going for Cherish because both of them kind of feed into what the other one wants to do a little bit. At least Cherish feeds into Yusuke, right? Because Yusuke's the main DPS. But it's kind of the case where if you don't have Yusuke, I really don't think it's worth pulling for Cherish. He's kind of the case where he helps out one character specifically. I'm sure there's other uses for him that I'm not thinking about, but generally speaking, Cherish is going to be who you pull if you have a Yusuke, and we don't, so we're not going to be getting him. Okay, so Luce, he's going to be a 4-star, so I don't think I really need to talk too much about him. I mean, you know, you're gonna get him in your pulls at some point, assumedly. Also, the way this game has been going, I believe every single story-relevant 4-star has been given to us at some point for free. Just by finishing the story. The only one where I actually think that that's not the case is, where is she? Vino, because she wasn't story-relevant, like main story-relevant at any point, at least so far. But even then, it's like she was on Makoto's banner. Or was she? I can't remember if she was on Makoto's banner. Regardless, she was out pretty soon with Makoto, so there wasn't a reason to really be mad about not getting a copy, or about not getting a copy for free. But Luce is going to be given out for free because I believe he is story relevant. I haven't looked too far ahead in the story, not really. I'm kind of where you guys are with the global, but I do know a good chunk about these characters. But Luce should be free. Oof. Now we get to one of the big hitters, Anj. Anj is real freaking... Oh boy, how do I say this? Anj contends with Futaba for being the best navigator in the entire game. I believe she's also an anniversary unit. So if you guys know about gacha games and their anniversary units, they tend to be really freaking powerful. I believe, technically speaking, Anj is the next must pull. Like if you don't have the character, your account's not bricked per se, because again, this game is not necessarily super duper difficult. However, I'll just say account value. It's like, yes, you don't specifically need her, but she's basically the next must pull. If you don't have Anj, you might see a little more difficulty. But she's pretty much the next must pull. So if you highly recommend going for Anj, you should have time. I believe anniversary, well, we started in what, July? So that gives us, give or take, we should be, I guess I could just click on this, right? We're 5 months out, so we go, should be like January, February, we should be seeing Anj. So 100% try and save some pulls for her. I think after we go for a Ketty, we might just skip Turbo and we'll go for her. There's another problem with this game, at least recently. So at least for me, right? Like, okay, yeah, there's some characters I can skip relatively easily here. Like, I'm not going to be hurt if you don't get them. Once Anj comes out, it is literally just a gauntlet from the freaking... I don't know what this is, bro. This is ridiculous, dude. Like, what the heck, man? Because I'm sure you guys know about John Persona 3 Makoto Yuki. It's really freaking good. It's also the thing where he's a main character. They're not really going to make him a bad character to pull. I don't think he's a must pull. I don't think, but it's like... I think he's in the same range when he comes out as Violet, where he's just such a strong single target option that there's not really a reason not to pull for him. Plus, I mean, he's a main character. A lot of you guys, myself included, are going to go for this guy and try to get him maxed out. Yukari is another healer. I don't recall exactly what she does, like in full high definition right now, but I mean, she's a Persona 3 collab character. Again, they're not gonna make... I guess that's another thing about this game. These characters, if they're not straight up freaking amazingly good, busted almost, they're gonna be very useful for your teams, depending on what you want to run. Yukari is in that same situation where it's like, he's a healer. If you don't have a healer that's of the proper, you know, because like if you didn't get Marion, okay, you're down a healer. You didn't get Summer Tomoko, you don't have another healer. I don't know if you want to wait this long to get a 5-star healer, but Yukari is there if you want her. Akihiko, it's actually kind of funny, right? Because I could just show it like this. So Closer is competition in this role, and I want you guys to guess the difference between Akihiko and Closer. Well, the first one is that Akihiko is a 5-star. The second one is that he's a collab unit. He's not going to be bad. He's very, very good. The third one is that he's kind of got a similar situation to Joker, where he has our teacher Blitz right here. This is our teacher. I mean, if the hair wasn't showing it off, if you guys haven't done the story yet, then, you know, my bad, but this is our teacher. But also, this is a Phantom idol. This isn't actually her being a Persona user, because, you know, the idols for Phantoms are technically not person themselves, or like projections of sorts. Anyway, enough of that. She has Blitz, or Akihiko has Blitz as an option. So it's kind of like the thing where it's similar to Joker, where it's like you have these two and they're just going to be way, way better together than Closer could ever hope to be. Also, Closer's a 4-star from the beginning of the game. She's not really going to be the best ever. So if you go for Akihiko, I would highly recommend going for Blitz over here. I'm sure you can make Blitz work as a DPS somehow, some way, but as it stands right now, if you have Akihiko, there's no reason for you not to pull for Blitz. And it's also the thing where there's not really electric DPS in this game that much yet. I mean, this game's also fairly new, right? So there's not going to be a ton of DPS characters out yet for each role, but He's a good one. I'm gonna skip over Barry for a second because Marion Summer, again, just a buffer. She's going to be very, very good for you. I don't think she's a must pull, but it's the same situation where, like, honestly, once you hit Anj, like, all of these characters are really freaking good, and I don't think you can reasonably, quote-unquote, skip them. You can, obviously, you're gonna have to, because this is freaking, what, 12 characters in a row? You're not gonna be able to go for all 12 of them unless you pull out the wallet. So, you're gonna have to pick and choose between these 12, which ones you want. I would say go for Anj at the very least though, because she's a navigator. So if you have Futaba and Anj, you should be pretty much good to go for navigators for a while. Fuka is coming out, if she's not already out. I believe I'm a little behind on my P5X knowledge for these two at least. I haven't really looked at their gameplay yet. But I do know that Fuka and Mitsuru want to be together. So that's one thing to keep in mind if you want to run Fuka. You should probably try and get Mitsuru as well. But pretty much it's just like, again, Fuka's a navigator. If you for some reason don't have Anj or Futaba, I would say go for her and try and get Mitsuru, but we'll deal with that a little later when we get down to it. Back to Marion. She's a really good character. There's not really a reason that you wouldn't want her. She's a good pull. In this case, I'd probably say if you honestly kind of with how the buffers are, unless your name is Winvast, you're not necessarily must pull for your, just for the fact that you're a buffer. Now again, these characters are really good, so I would recommend pulling. I mean, at this point, once we hit Anj, you kind of just have to pull with your heart, and then maybe if you want to be smart with your pulls, you gotta pick out teams that you want to pull for. So that's something you guys will have to think about, because I can't make that decision for you. I know I don't love all the same characters that you guys love. Speaking of characters that I love so much, we got Barry right here. She is going to be a curse single target DPS. And I don't know how to say this, but the second that I saw her, I already knew I was going to A6 her. If she could be the worst 5-star in this game, worse than Akechi, and I still would have wanted to pull her to A6. So we're going to be very, very enticed, I'll just say that way. We're going to be very enticed to pull her, and we are going to. I'm going to make sure that we leave with her and her weapon before she leaves. So we'll see what happens with that, but she's another A6 that I want to have happen. I mean, I know I'm saying a lot of characters I want to A6, but I like a lot of Persona characters, and the way this game works, generally speaking, if you maybe don't summon for every single freaking character, you can get some pulls together to get some awareness copies. That's a thing you can do as free to play. Even with the Light Spender, if you get the Battle Pass and the $5 pass for the monthly, like, you'll be fine. You'll be fine for a lot of this. Puppet Summer. Okay, I got a question for you guys. Do you have Yusuke? If yes, you don't. Puppet is better than him. To my knowledge, he's better than. To my knowledge, Puppet is better than Yusuke here. However, if you already have Yusuke at this point, I don't see why you would technically want to go for Puppet as a result, because you technically have your AoE ice covered. You don't really need to get her. However, if you don't, we don't have an AoE ice DPS right now on our account, Puppet is going to be an option that we consider. I don't know how deep we're going to go on her, but we don't have an ice character for that, and in the vein with that, we kind of have to go for her. At least a little bit. We'll see what happens. A lot of this is tentative based on whether or not pulls or whatever, how I'm feeling, like my mood can change. I don't always, I mean, maybe not with Barry or Marion, but some of these like Yukari we might skip because it's like, dude, this is tough. Yeah. So Blitz, I mean, we're gonna try and go for Akihiko. So Blitz is like a natural selection as well. If we don't somehow get Akihiko, which honestly, I'm looking at this, I don't know, man. Barry's right next to him. If we don't get Akihiko, we will skip Blitz and we'll probably save until Mitsuru right here. But if we do get Akihiko, then we'll go for Blitz. Okay, so this is the first alternate version that we have that's of a what's the non-main thief for P5X. Like, she's one of the people that are not in our actual party for the main story that is getting an alternate. I believe everyone's calling her Cosmic Yui or Cosmic Yui on the other versions, but she is going to be a single target nuke character, and unfortunately, I have some bad news for you guys. Makoto is just straight up worse at equal investment. If you have Makoto at like A0 and you have Yui at A0, Yui just straight up beats Makoto. And I'm pretty sure it stays like that the entire way. I think she's just straight up power crept, which it sucks. I'm not gonna lie. However, again, if you're not building for Sea of Souls, or maybe like you're not building for, what's the other one? For guild battles, like you don't really need to pull her. You could keep her with your Makoto. Just understand that, you know what, unfortunately, Yui is better than her. So that sucks. Okay, now we get to Mitsuru. She is another sub DPS like Akechi. So do understand that. She's another sub DPS. I believe she's intended for use with Makoto mainly. I believe she's supposed to be the sub DPS for Makoto. I believe. I could be wrong. I don't remember exactly right now. But I believe Mitsuru is supposed to be a sub DPS for him. I also have some other news. Mitsuru is my favorite Persona 3 character. So you guys are probably going to... You guys are never going to guess what I want to do with my favorite Persona 3 character. I'm going to want to max him out at A6. So we're going to be going in on her pretty hard. Which also means that we're going to be going for Fuka, because the two of them have interactions together that are helpful to each other. So we'll try for both of these. I mean, we're going to make Mitsuru happen though. But I mean, I'm sure you guys can see, like, this is literally a gauntlet from freaking... It's a gauntlet. It's a bad gauntlet. It's tough, dude. There's so many of these characters are just so good. So like me, you guys are going to have to make decisions. Luce, I actually don't remember if he's out yet. I don't know. I don't think he's out yet. He might be. No, he's not out yet. I don't think he's out yet. You can take a peek at that if you want. This specific party member thing is interesting. Okay, we're gonna... I'm gonna try not to get into spoilers though, but... Yeah. I'm not familiar with Luce, so if there's anyone that I'm unfamiliar with, it's him, because he's the newest character. I haven't been keeping up with P5X on the other side of the world quite as much as normal, so I'm not really familiar with this guy, but he's a holy AoE, so I suppose we can make another comparison. If the game follows with what it's been doing recently, and the new character just straight up power keeps the old character, for you closer fans, that unfortunately does mean that she's going to be worse than him. But he's the new character, you know, it kind of makes sense with gacha games that this is kind of what's going to happen. But if history follows, Luce will be better than Closer. And I'm just going to say this right now. If we have pulls to go for this guy, we're probably going to do it. He looks pretty cool to me. Also didn't really care too much for Summer Closers or Motoha's kit personally, so we'll probably be going for him. So this is a... Oh yeah, this is another interesting thing. He is... actually our first alt, or she, well, he's one of the next. He might actually be the fastest character to turn around from a 4-star to a 5-star. That's one of our main party members. I know he's a main party member of ours, so do understand that. He had a pretty fast turnaround, right? He might be the fastest. It's either him or Winvast as being the fastest turnaround for a 4-star to a 5-star. It could be Tomoko as well, but Tomoko's not a main party member. I mean, that's just an interesting little tidbit. He had a pretty fast turnaround for that, so that's interesting. There was one other thing I wanted to talk about, but I'm losing what it was. I'm losing the sauce. I'll probably remember it in a moment. Give me 1 second. I remember now. So, right after we get loose, this is technically, I mean, it's not on here yet, but we do know this. If you're a big soy fan, whenever we're supposed to get this guy, Loose, Soy's coming out with an alternate form right after Loose does. So if you're a big Soy fan, I would say go ahead and save some pulls for him, because, I mean, we don't know what he's going to do yet, but again, ever since, like, Anj, we have yet to break that streak of having the characters be really, really freaking good. So I presume he'll be in good hands here as well. Just a little interesting little thing that I had to say for Soy though, so just keep that in mind if you are a Soy fan. If you're not, then that's kind of it. I mean, let me know in the comments down below what your guys' summon plans might be, even if it's not like that far in the future like I have been stating right here. Maybe like if you're going for Haru, if you're going for Howler, maybe you're going for Sumi like me later on, maybe going for Mont. Let me know. I would love to hear. And with that, I will have to part ways with you guys today. Hope you guys keep going back for more P5X, and I will see you all in the next video. Laters.